Nice.
Yeah, the homies be doing their thing out of here.
Oh, cool. This is where you usually do it?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah, it's like a resident thing here.
Oh, great.
For
That's
sure.
Cool.
Will, let me know when y'all ready. Yeah, for sure.
I thought that was the other Will, but his name is Will.
Which Will?
Will from Black Market. I just saw someone light skinned sitting
yeah.
at the. I didn't even like.
That's funny.
Really think it was him. I was like, oh.
The homie Will, Muffin Man Films. Shout out. We're here. It's that time again. Here and doing things. How's everybody? Come on, man. Y'all too quiet. Everybody, make some noise for yourselves for being here. Come on, guys. There we go.
I love small, intimate groups.
It's becoming my cliche. I got to make sure I get the crowd on the audio for sure. But no, thank you guys for pulling up. I got Shannon Wallace with me on the couch.
I'm in Charlotte.
What made you do the dollar? What makes you do the dollar sign for the S?
You know, everybody asks me that. And
I'm sure.
It's so not a thing that has like this large agenda to it.
Yeah.
It's just so.
Like, it's just some fly shit.
Yeah, but it's also kind of like a spell, just writing that S and a dollar sign so I can just accumulate that wealth. And that's
I feel it.
Monetary and also spiritual wealth and all that other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so it took me some while to have to come up with that because I just did it. And then I started getting published at it. And people were like, well, what's the difference? And I'm like, it's not really no difference. If you want to be formal in the email, you put Shan with an S. But if you want to, if you're part of the culture or somebody that's young or whatever, you just put the dollar sign. I prefer the dollar sign because I'm trying to bring in that wealth. But either or, doesn't matter to me.
Got you.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, snap. Popped out. Y'all catching it live for real. What happened with that? Technical difficulties.
I had some today.
Boom. We back with it.
Many technical difficulties.
Bruh, who you telling? See what I was talking about?
Many.
I knew the opportunity was going to present itself. Nah, so like, my apartment got flooded today.
Flooded?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
how?
Like, it was like somebody on third floor. I don't know. You know how like old people, like they like give you rumors and all of that? So like, apparently it's like some dude who had like an illegal bathroom installed. You know, like it's people that's been in the building and been forever. So they're like, yeah, he done had his cousins come down and do it instead of doing it with a real plumber and this, that, and
That's
the third.
extreme.
So yeah, you know, the kitchen was flooded a little bit earlier.
Nigga always trying to save $1.
Right. Right.
Niggas
And then
be
cost
so
the,
cheap.
bruh, and it just
They
cost
be
the
cheap
whole
with your
building.
house and stuff.
Bruh, just cost the whole building. Cost the whole building some trouble. But yeah, you talk about technical difficulties. I knew the opportunity to talk about that was going to come up just because that's the kind of day it's been.
Yeah, I was at the library and I had my camera and my computer tethered and the light just would not go off. And I'm like, I want this to happen, but I was like, all right, whatever. So Terry and I spent a couple of minutes trying to figure it out and we just untethered it and it just worked.
That's how it go.
So it's like.
It's the tech support thing. Did you unplug it? Did you plug it out?
Yeah, we did the whole thing.
Turn it off, turn it back on?
We did the whole, I got to try it out when I get home, but we did the whole thing and it was just not working.
Got you. I done skipped. We done rambled. We done had technical things. I'll let you introduce yourself to the people.
Okay. Introduce me. Introduce me.
She wants a formal introduction. That's the first time.
Introduce me. Introduce me your way.
That is what I'm saying. I normally let people introduce themselves.
Okay. Okay. I don't know how it go. I'm Shan, short for Shannon. I'm from Baltimore, 410. I'm here in Charlotte for 6 months. I came here in May. I'm here to November, maybe after, I'm not sure. I'm here for a residency called The Roll Up, which was started by Jessica Gaynell Moss, which is in Camp Green, west side of Charlotte. I'm here doing a bunch of programming, doing a bunch of experimenting with community residents and members throughout Charlotte, particularly the west side, of course, and also definitely black people. So I got a lot of stuff going on here, but more about me, 28, I'm a Taurus. I've been nomadic for like 3 years, so I just go to residencies and I travel and I create work and I get commissions. I travel for art and work. And so I don't actually have like a home base, even though Baltimore is my home and my city, but I kind of make every city, every country, every continent I go to my home. And so I'm a visual artist, I'm a photographer, I'm a freedom fighter, I do a lot of things. I just directed my first short, so I guess I'm a director, I guess. I do a lot of things. I feel like I could do whatever I put my mind to. I also feel like that about everybody else. We could do what we put our mind to. And so I'm just out here trying to be this artist that communicates these certain things to black people. My work is for black people. It's about black people. Anybody else who's not black who jumps on the bandwagon and likes it, that's great. But my work is primarily and only for us. And yeah, so that's kind of a little bit about me. I think I kind of covered everything.
For
I
sure.
hope so.
That's what's up.
Yeah, thank y'all for being patient too. We just left Beatty's Ford Library. I do monthly portraits there of just like the people who just come in and have their photograph taken. So that's what we were doing just now, wrapping up. We had a lot of people come through. It's y'all gotta just come and just see it. It's just so beautiful to see people just come and have their photograph taken and just feel included and feel seen. And also get quality prints and quality photographs, because I get them copies of the photographs too. And you'd be surprised how far that can go and how touching. We had people cry and people hug me, and kids, babies. I had an infant in there earlier today. I kept trying to, what was her name? Zora. I'm like, Zora, trying to call her. She wasn't looking at all. But we had people come and have their family portraits taken, single individual shots in the library, which is great because that library is really important to that community. It's
100%.
one of the places that young people can go. And so I'm learning a lot about Charlotte and how to accommodate the people here and also how to include them and collaborate with them. And so it's a pleasure to really, really be here. I like being here.
That's what's up, man. Love to hear the city get love from people who, you know, passing through, saying what's up, building community.
Yeah, everybody's been really warm and welcoming for me, especially you. Like I came here in December, did the project at Black Market, and people came out and supported. And so everyone has just been welcoming me. So I'm just trying to reciprocate that by doing critical and good work and also collaborating and just being here amongst the people. Yeah,
that's one of the things I think is like super important. Is like being able to, when people kind of like import and transplant here, but like have them get that sense of what we really have to offer and the culture that exists here.
Yeah.
Because then it kind of creates that narrative for people to be able to go, like you be able to go next place, like, yo, Charlotte comes up randomly, and it's like, yo, no, like I was out there, like it's dope. And I think that's like an essential piece, is like not only traveling ourselves and going to places to experience things, but also being able to like bring people here and really like tap them in.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that they can like see what's being built and like push that energy out and be like, yo, no, like Charlotte got something bubbling, like go check it out.
Everywhere I go, I mean, I take Baltimore with me everywhere I go. I got on my AAU jersey from basketball, Ball is Life, Baltimore Stars. But I take Charlotte with me where I go places. I just recently went to Detroit to do a commission on the Detroit Wall. Anyone heard about it? So the Detroit Wall was this wall that was built in 1941 that was built in an 8 Mile community, which was predominantly black. This wall was built as a response to give white people mortgages and loans for their homes. So this half-a-mile wall that's 6 foot was built to separate black and white people. And I left Charlotte to go there. And so I've been here for a couple of months, and it's made an impression on me. It's certainly enlightened me and informed me of the people here, the black people here, the culture here. And so I've been here short term so far, but I certainly take Charlotte with me when I go places, especially when I go back home. I go back home often. I take that 7-hour drive.
You just got back, right?
Yeah, I just got back at 5 this morning and had to get up and teach at 8. Yeah, it's wild.
That's the dedication.
For real. And these are middle schoolers too. And so, yeah, I really like Charlotte, and all of these cities, these places that I stay in just truly impact me. And I just try to take the culture, take the people, put them on my back, and just take them wherever I go.
I thought that was fire. We had, what was that, Monday? We had, what does it mean to be
Thursday.
Thursday.
Last Thursday.
Oh, man, today's Monday.
Yeah, today is Monday.
It's that type of day, bruh. For real. Oh, man. For real. But nah, Thursday, we had What Does It Mean to Be Black? And I thought that was one of the more fire elements of, like, your work, is being able to, like, see these postcards and see these responses from other people from like around the world where you've done the exact same thing.
Yeah.
I thought that's a dope way of, like, a dope extension of the community that you've built.
That project started, it started as a Instagram series like in 2016. And then my homeboy, Lawrence, he works for the Fader. He's a writer. He asked me like, yo, I'm going to the book fair, I think Public Art Book Fair in LA. Can you turn this into a book? And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. So it's a zine. It's a non-traditional zine because it's really large. And so it's pretty simple. I made it to accommodate Baltimore. I didn't want to be extravagant on the design or the words. I wanted to be something that is accessible, that people can read, something that was just really simple. And so one side is just a black and white portrait, and then the other side is just people's response to what does it mean to be black. And it did really well. And that was probably one of my first projects. I mean, I like published it myself. I didn't even tell nobody this, but I made the first one. I didn't even put my name on it. Like, I was just so inexperienced with doing projects like that. And it did really, really well. I gave a lot out. I distributed a lot of them. A lot of people bought them. I had a couple of events that was surrounded and centered around that question in the zine. Then I got an award for it. I got third best book in the city that year. And so it was a really impactful project that traveled up and down the East Coast, and then I took it to South Africa. And so I created these postcards that just said, what does it mean to be black, and just had people write their responses, and they could read them, they can share them, they can distribute them out. I was going to schools and doing it. It became this large like project, and I didn't expect it at all. And so it was something that I did and kind of left there. And then coming here, I packed up all my stuff in my studio, and I was like, I'm going to bring all of my stuff that I have so I can share. And I just wanted to resurface that project, particularly because of my experience in Charlotte. It was a culture shock to come here. Mm-hmm. The concentration of black people is very different. And also this is like the country, so it's like it's not a walkable place. You got to like drive or like catch Ubers, and you gotta like drive and catch Ubers to see your people, which is something I'm not really used to. In Baltimore, I walk outside, I see black people everywhere. Mm-hmm. And so it was a way to just bring us together, and a way to just center our blackness, that one thing that we all have in common, that's outside of music, that's outside of culture, but something that connects us as family. And you know, like we're global people,
right?
And so it was just a way to make people think and just sit you down and not have any distractions, not talk about anything other than what it meant to be black. And so it was really great to have y'all come out and answer that question. And it was also really telling, because I struggled with the question. A couple of people there struggled with the question. We talked about it. And not really of a struggle like I don't know, but it's just like that question can have so many different responses. What it means to be black can have so many different definitions. Mm-hmm. And so it was a project that did really well. I was just like, well, let me just, bring it here and see what the definitions of people here, right, and add to that postcard collection, because I have a lot of responses, and I just share the postcards, and the postcards come from like black people from all over the world, basically. And so it's this like thing that bridges us, this piece of work, this art that shows us how connected we are, and how much of how similar Baltimore is to Charlotte, and Charlotte is to the black people in Milwaukee. And so it's just this way to really connect with everybody.
That's what I feel like my experience in college was. Like, we both got the HBCU experience, mm-hmm, and like I feel like it was like that. It was like I never ran into like a black goth person.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, but to have that experience, and like to have to be in class with them, and to have to debate things with them, or work on group projects with them, or like, a super like preppy person, mm-hmm, you know what, mm-hmm, I'm saying? And like somebody who like just comes from like a different type of background, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's like, dang, I thought I grew up well, but you grew up well. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And to see the difference, mm-hmm, in that perspective.
There's so many different types of blackness.
Yeah.
Audre Lorde and James Baldwin has this conversation. I suggest that you read it. It's a really old conversation. But she says to him, in order for us to progress as a race, we have to understand our samenesses and our differences. And that's just something I just wholeheartedly believe in, because we have a lot of things as black people that divide us. Zip codes, how much money you have in your bank account, what kind of shoes you got on, your sexual orientation or your identity, and also your gender. And so if we could just understand each other, talk to each other, and really connect, then we can just fight the larger fight, and then we can, truly execute this idea and these plans of black power and black pride. And so that's something that's like the root of everything. Mm-hmm. All the work that I do, that's global, because all of us are very much so like our family in Cuba. We're very much so like our family in South Africa. And so I believe that this connectedness, if we have to have something that connects us. It could be music, because it is. It could be movies, because it is. But it also can be art. And it also can be you just writing down something, a definition of blackness on a postcard and sharing it with someone, or a photograph, you know. And so I'm just trying to just play my role.
Yeah.
And I was talking earlier, ball is life, because basketball taught me how to play my role, and this is just my role. And we all have these different roles, and we just have to accommodate each other and really show up for each other and push each other to make critical work.
Yeah. That's another thing too. Is like, I think it's interesting when you talk about what is black art. I saw you tweeting about this too, about like
I be wilding on Twitter.
we all do. That's what it's for. Shout out to like the Twitter vets. If you was in Twitter in 2009, you know what I'm saying? What's up?
Facts.
You know what I mean? Anybody like 2012, 2013 Twitter is like, oh, man, cool. But if you was like 08, 09 Twitter, what's good? But nah, like you were talking about like basically like you like I call myself a black artist. I make black art. I make you know art for black people. Basically like the spiel you gave at the beginning, but this was like in Twitter form. And I think that we should, when you think about black art, you always think about it in, well, generally it's defined in a specific context, right? Like obviously it's going to talk about certain people and certain experiences, but that I think that gets wrapped into a certain box, and there's a certain assumed quality associated with that, either good or bad, right?
Yep.
But or like even a certain aesthetic that you think about, you know what I'm saying? Like you think about, at least for me, you think about like Ernie Barnes is from here, so like he got his it's amazing. And that's like the aesthetic that immediately pops in my head when I think about black art. I think about that, and then every like derivative of that like is in like your grandma's house, like all the way up until that. But for some reason I don't think we kind of like place it in that same fine art like context that we place other work, right? So like what are your thoughts on kind of like defining or redefining or shaping or putting a certain perspective on black art and kind of like expanding that scope, I guess?
So does anybody in here read Toni Morrison or has read Toni Morrison or know anything about Toni Morrison? Yes. Somewhat? Okay, great. The theater right down the street has the Toni Morrison documentary. I suggest that you go see it because it's amazing. I went to go see it twice. I'm going to go see it a third time. And so in this movie, because the tweet was about me digesting this documentary.
Okay.
Yeah, and so she says, if you know anything about Toni Morrison is a phenomenal writer. I mean, her books were being banned. That's how good they were. And they always centered black women characters and then essentially black men, but it was always about blackness. And she talked about how her work, like how as a reader, she realized that the person who is writing or the narrator is talking to white people. Like books, certain literature is for white people, even though there might be about black people, even though the author might be black. Her work is not like that. She's talking to black people. So she doesn't have to explain to you what fleeky is. She doesn't have to explain to you what slay means because you black and you know. And so someone had asked her in the movie, how do you feel about being I know he assumed, he said, I know you're tired of this, but people call you a black artist. She was like, no, I'm not tired. I embrace it. And I was like, sis, I feel you. I am a black artist. My work focuses on black people. I talk and communicate to black people. This isn't to help anybody else understand who we are. It's not to, my work is at all not created through the white gaze. It's created through the black gaze, the gaze of a black woman. And I feel strongly about that. I'm okay with being a black artist. And a lot of older generation want to be American artists. If it says black American artist for me, I'm great, long as black is in it, because I just want you to know where my politics are. I want you to know already the type of shit that, can I cuss?
Yeah.
Okay, great. I want you to already know the type of shit that I'm on. It's black, it's for black people, it's by a black woman, it is for us. And so we can embrace it. We can be inspired by it. We can buy it. We can use it. We can reference it. We can take pride in it, whatever. But it's for us, and it's not to tokenize people at all. And that's another thing. It's like it's so easy to photograph black people in poverty. It's so easy to tokenize us because we are the culture. We are the thing. We are the topic of conversation. But so much of me, I have so much integrity, and I believe in being responsible. And being in Baltimore, it's like Baltimore's a very black city. The people that I photograph are people on the street. So it's junkies, it's alcoholics, it's working people, it's kids, it's high school dropouts, it's bus drivers. I mean, whoever. And that's a very broad umbrella of black people. And I try to be really responsible. And so the goal is to not tokenize you or take a photo of you that you might be ashamed of, that you might not take pride in. It's to show you who you are and to show you who I am and to connect us. And so back to being a black artist, I just feel like that, again, a lot of us look at art through the white gaze, because the standards of art, we barely see ourselves in museums in the first place, especially ones that have been historically white. And when we do, there's always a catch. You get what I'm saying? Like, it's like, okay, this art isn't here, but why? You know, like, it's not about the artist who made it, but why does this institution have it in the first place? And then you gotta also realize that the people around you looking at the art don't look like you. And so for me, it's like, yeah, I'm a black artist. I'm a proud black person. I'm a proud black woman, and I proudly center black people and blackness in my work. And I don't plan on assimilating. I don't plan on changing it up. I mean, I do freelance work and stuff, so I take pictures of all sorts of people. But my artistic work, the work that I care the most about, is about black people. I actually prefer to teach only black students. And not to discriminate, not because I don't think that I can, but because I think that we require a certain special attention. Mm-hmm. We require so much, and we shouldn't have to share. You get what I'm saying? And so, black everything for me. And so, yeah, Toni Morrison she embraced being a black artist, and I've talked to other artists about it, and some of them are like, I don't want to be called a black artist because it labels me, because it puts me in a box, and I don't feel like it's a box at all. Mm-hmm. But you also got to realize, you also got to think about, how do you want your box to look? You know, like, do you want to define your box for yourself, or you want somebody else to define it for you? I mean, artistically, the art world, which is, we know, is going to put you in a box, and they're going to decorate that box for you. They're going to make it real nice. They're going to put the label and everything on there, and you might take it and accept it. I'm not with none of that shit. Mm-hmm. I'm going to make my box. I'm going to step outside of my box. I'm going to upgrade my box. My box going to wear Pradas and everything like that. Like, and so that's my way of creating my own box, and also taking a stance and never, ever, ever leaving my people behind. Now, my blackness is on the forefront. My blackness is the biggest part of me, and I take my people wherever I go, and we are all black. And so it's just a way to just truly put us at the forefront, because when you hear black, you just think of it. You think of black. When people who are not black think of black, they think of us. So it's like, at all times, I certainly want you to think about my people. I want you to think about my community when you are introducing me, or when you're looking at my work, or you're reading my bio. Doesn't matter. And one thing I also realize is that and I'm not judging anybody, to each its own. This is all a process. We all learn. Things all change. Some of us go by certain different titles and labels, whatever. But I'm someone who doesn't have an issue publicly saying that my work is for black people. And I realize that is a problem for some people. And we all got our own shit to work through. We all got our own conflicts and everything like that. But I take pride in being brave to say, hey, my work is for black people. My work is for us, and I have no shame in that. And that could seem limiting to some people, mm-hmm. could seem limiting to some institutions. But if that's the case, I don't give a fuck, because the work is for us. It's not to be mainstream. I don't want to be a commercial artist. I like doing local stuff. I like impacting communities, regardless if they're small or they're large. And so that's my take on that. I feel really passionate about being called a black artist. Mm-hmm. And to each his own. Again, some people don't like it, some people do, but I certainly share that same sentiment with Toni Morrison and many other artists who only reference black work, who only makes black work, who only create black figures, And again, to me, it might seem limiting to some people, but we own all of this shit. All of this shit is ours. All of this shit is about us. And so why not just center it at all times?
For sure. How'd you land on photography as a medium? Was it your first medium, or is it like recent? Where does that fall on your timeline?
So I took my first photograph. Well, actually, I got a camcorder when I was younger. My grandparents raised me. And so my grandfather just bought a camcorder randomly in maybe 2000. Mm-hmm. And he didn't know how to work it. So I started playing with it. And I mean, at this time, no one in my community where I live in East Baltimore was an artist, had a camera, did anything positive, to be honest. And so it's this, I didn't necessarily feel comfortable going out and trying to be an artist. Also, art wasn't accessible to me. My grandparents weren't artists. They were born in the 20s. And so they were very traditional black people. My grandmother cooked my grandfather 3 meals a day. My grandfather read the newspaper on the corner in his Lincoln Town car, you know, like very traditional. And so was never really accessible to me. I also went to public schools. That's why I always played ball. It was primarily my thing. And so I got this camcorder, and I used to record me and my cat playing fetch. I was really amazed that my cat would play fetch in the first place, and I love my cat. I love cats. And so from there, it transitioned. I played ball, and I kind of left the photography thing away. But I had a friend named Storm who was a photographer, a phenomenal photographer, who made me feel comfortable. He was one of my first photography friends, and this was like 2000 this is probably like 2010, 2009, 2010. And it went from there. And I went through a lot of phases. I used to do photography at Ramsey Live, which is a music venue. I used to work at Sirius XM, so I did a lot of entertainment stuff. But Trayvon Martin was when I was like, okay, shit, I got to do something. I got this tool. I got this. I got y'all. I got black people. I have everything that I need. Something has to shake because I'm mourning this kid that I don't know. Nobody has any answers for me. No one has any solutions. And it really tore me up. And so I went to my first rally in Baltimore, and it was so many people. I couldn't even believe it. I had never done anything like that. And I went and I took a couple of photographs, and I was nervous. I was scared. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I barely understood my camera, but I took that step to try to figure it out. And I started to try to build on that and build on it. But then Freddie Gray happened. I was just like, okay, this is it. I got laid off, too. I was working at Best Buy for corporate. They laid me off. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to take some pictures, try to figure it out. So for an entire summer, 10 hours a day, I took photographs just in Baltimore, around the city, just to have it in my second nature, to be a photographer. Yeah. And so from there, putting in all that work, I got really good at it. I'm trying to get better. And now it's just only like going up. But it started really young, but I never really embraced art at all until maybe 4 or 5 years ago.
When did you move into well, that's interesting too, because I never really knew that. I knew that there was I was interested in that trajectory just in your story, because you've always said too, like your previous experience in Charlotte was through basketball, playing at CIAA. So it's interesting to hear that, like, okay, like graduated, job, the whole nine, and then like art just came back knocking.
Yeah, I went to Bowie State, which is in PG, Maryland, which is like 30 minutes away from DC. I went for journalism. I'm actually a much broadcaster than photographer, to be honest. So I went to school for journalism because I've always loved information and books, and this was before the internet was popping, but books and magazines and mass communications, I took that in school. So I always had this love for it. But photography just felt right, you know, like having my own instrument, being able to do whatever I want to do with it. And so it felt right because I didn't have to be stationary. I could be creative. I can also contribute to the works of many photographers that I love, many hip-hop photographs and photographs of just black people, bodies of work that I love. And so it was a way to kind of like contribute to that. But for me, it was like, man, I started actually doing, so when the uprising happened, I wasn't there. But after the uprising, I was there. So I worked with a lot of newspapers and publications to provide reliable, truthful information, because CNN and all of these different people were coming in and they were just trashing the city. Like, just not at all, just listening to people, just completely just projecting their own ignorance onto the rest of the world. And so I used Twitter as a way to upload my photographs. And since there are a lot of online publications, people were hitting me up like, can we use your photographs? Can we retweet them? I'm like, yeah. So it became a big thing for me to use Twitter and social media as a way to provide information right then and there, because my camera has Wi-Fi. So I was able to just do it like that. So like during the uprising, during the rallies, and when the officers are going to trial, I'm down there posting immediately, getting it before the newspapers and before the news outlets. And it's also coming from someone who's from there and who has connectivity to these people. And so it was a way to really play a role. But then it's like, then the uprising and the rallies, they died down. than what you do. So for me, it was just like, okay, it's so easy to go and photograph the protests and go to photograph all the noise, but how does our work continue after the noise stops? And for me, it was like, all right, I got to figure it out. And it took me getting laid off and dedicating all this time to essentially figure it out. And I'm still figuring it out, but I feel like now I have at least a small, I mean, now I feel like I'm pretty good at it, at least. I'm still trying to figure it out. I don't have it figured out at all. And so it was kind of this like, basketball was my thing. Journalism, I tried to get the job and do the whole thing, and I was just like, I just can't do it because I got laid off, and this company obviously doesn't care about me. And then it's like, what can I do to make a difference? What can I do to just play a role? And photography has been that for me. And now I've just upgraded and graduated to different mediums like collage work and then directing a short.
Yeah, for sure. We're gonna circle back to that, but you said you're still figuring it out. So I'm gonna double down on that and say, what have you figured out? Like, what have you learned during this process, last 4 or 5 years of creating work?
I've learned that I don't have to compromise, that I shouldn't have to compromise. It's not about nobody, it's about me. This work comes from me, and I'm a representation of my community. I'm a sponge. I absorb all of the things. I feel sometimes like a prophet sometimes because I have a job to do, and my job is to enlighten us, and my job is to show up and be there for us. And so I realized so far that I don't have to compromise, that it is very possible to do it your own way and keep your integrity. You do not have to be a coon. You do not have to subject yourself to all sorts of fuckery. I also realized that it's really important to share those skills and share that knowledge to people because, I mean, I didn't go to art school. I don't have an art degree. I took not more than 2 art classes. And so I've never had a mentor either. So I'm not having anybody that's dropping gems or giving me information and telling me how to do this. I'm figuring out as I go, wasting so much money, doing shit so wrong, and then learning from it. And then being like, okay, well, I could also relay this information to other people. You actually don't have to do it this way. You can do it this way. Or let me make a suggestion to help you because those suggestions would have helped me. So just sharing those skills and just spreading that knowledge of wealth has been something I've certainly learned that's really important for me to receive and also for me to give back. What else? Let me see. That I also learned that it's so easy to get up and get the fuck out of wherever you at. When I was in Baltimore, I went to grad school for 3 months. I dropped out, got the hell out of there. I hated it. I didn't like it at all. And so I had gave up so much to go to grad school. And then when I left, I didn't have shit. So I was like, all right, what am I going to do? I'm going to be nomadic. And my first place that I went was Cuba. I stayed there. Then I went to Miami. Then I went to Boston. I went to all these different places. And what happens is you meet these people who want to help you out. You meet young black people who got a couch that you can sleep on. You make comrades. You meet your family. And people accommodate you, especially if they believe in you. None of the work that I can do it's so not possible without community, without people letting me stay on their couch for like 2 weeks, or without me giving me their auntie number so she can pick me up from the train station so I can get to where I'm going. Like, so much of what I do and so much of what we all do, we really need each other, and we can really accommodate each other. And so I realized that it's not that easy. It's not that hard to just get up and go and chase your dreams. You just got to do it. We don't have nothing to lose but our chains. So we just got to just do that shit. And I really believe in all of us. I believe in everybody. I believe in anybody that's black, like we just got to tap in. It's so important to tap in and align yourself with what you're trying to do.
For sure. So like when you talked about kind of upgrading or changing mediums, what caused you to change and to get into more of the collage stuff and some of the more different forms of visual art? And then also pushing your photography and kind of like evolving your photography to be a part of that as well.
I look at my photography as just archives and documents. It's very sensitive material. It's not for everybody. It's for the most part, it doesn't assimilate to certain beauty standards or photography or art standards. And so much of my work I don't want to sell. So much of my photographs I don't want to sell because I believe they serve the purpose of just archives. And I do sell work, but the larger parts of my work doesn't sell. And I know why. I mean, first of all, I'm not really that interested. And second of all, they're just archives. They're just a testament to the people who live here, the people who've been here, people who we may never know. Historically, thinking about photographs, photography and imagery has been a large, important factor to our history as black people. And then you think about women, black women in photographs. Black women were only photographed in the company of a man or if they were successful. Fuck all of that. You know, like that's old news. What I'm going to do for my own self is create my own archive and create projects that are especially for black women. And to me, it's like so much of the value is the process. So much of the value is the story and how we feel about it, not about how much it costs. And so my collage work was a way for me to be more creative. It's a way for me to work from in here and less of being of service. But when we do us and we do us well, we are being of service. It's also a way for me to sell work and have fun. A lot of my photography and my archive stuff is sad. My work makes me sad sometimes when I look at it because I see through this lens and I see so many harsh realities. I see so many harsh stories and I see a lot of joy and beauty, but you know, there's that balance with blackness. We all love being black, but it's extremely hard. And we all have all sorts of contradictions and conflicts. And so with my photography work, it's more of a darker side of my own self. And the collage work is more of a joyful side, more of a playful side, more of a way where I'm trying to be like Romare building and stitch these black characters together. Because what I do with my collage work is I just create black figures. And so I might take someone's leg and put it on another person's body and then take someone's one eye and put it on another person's face. And so I try to connect us through collaging, through that process, and also through memory. I remember so much of my interactions with people. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes I might collage a person that I met in South Africa with a person I met in Charlotte, you know, because something about them too was related. That's fire. And again, it's not tangible because you only know this because I'm telling you, but so much of the spirit of these people, of us, live in these collages. And so that's a way for me to just channel my love for us, my love for art, and also to, again, incorporate black figures, blackness into museum spaces and to just the art world.
Right. For sure. That's fire. You blew my cap back with that one. That's tough.
I'm trying. I mean, I have a community of people who keep me in check, who challenge me. Mm-hmm. I don't have a lot of yes men around me. I'm also not the smartest person. Not the most educated either. But we all have a role. We all got to hold each other accountable because I want to make critical work. Mm-hmm. I want to make damn good work. I don't want to just make something that's cute on Instagram or something that doesn't move people. I want the process to be great. I want the process to be critical. I want the end result to be critical. I want the shit to just be all of that, you know, like, and I want to do it in a different way than my peers and also in a different way than people from way back when. And so this is me being here. It's not just me. It's a community of black people, and including y'all who sitting here listening to me, because I'm not scripted, so I'm just kind of winging it.
I'm not scripted either. That's the point.
You know, and so it's like so much of me is so much of everybody, right? And vice versa.
Got you. You said something interesting last week when we were at your event, and you talked about. You said, I don't even know if you realized that you said it. You probably did, but you were like. You were like, rage is something new that you're starting to feel or experience.
Listen, yeah.
Like, we're gonna get back to the brighter side, but like, give me, what's that about?
I'm mad about every fucking thing. I've been mad. I'm probably gonna get emotional too. Probably shed a little thug tear, cause for real, this is a very sensitive topic for me. Mm-hmm. How often do we talk about our rage? How often do we act it out? You know, like you told that. You shouldn't, I had some people ask me, when I had a homegirl ask me, what you so mad about? What? Yeah, like I got food to eat and I got on nice stuff and I can afford these things, but so what? I'm not free until my people free. You know, when I free myself, I free others. And so it's like, there are some people who don't want to be free. There are some people who so tapped out that they don't even know that they can be free, or that they can align themselves with their gifts. That hurts. that hurts. That sucks. And I'm not trying to bring everybody down, but I got a lot of rage, man. Flint doesn't have clean water. I did some work in Flint with the water crises. Man, that shit fucked me up. Like, I had a homegirl, when I got back, I went with my friend Randy, and I took a couple of photographs, but I did a lot of hard labor. And the reality of Flint goes beyond our imagination. We can read all we read, we could donate all we want, but until you there and you see that shit, it's a different breed. I got back, my homegirl asked me, how was Flint? And I was like, yeah, it was cool. And she was like, how was Flint? And I was just like, I thought about it, and I broke down. We was at a party. We was at a party, and we in the kitchen, we talking, and I just broke down. I'm real mad about Flint. I'm looking at people whose bodies are distorted, whose bodies are just like completely changed forever. Their esteems are changed forever. Their insides, I mean, for infant fertility rate went down. Women aren't having babies. You know, like, we can't even do something that's natural, you know, because we don't have clean water, and because we haven't had clean water, and because we didn't even know that they didn't have clean water until 2 years after the fact, and these people are still in office. That makes me very upset. The fact that I get paid less than my male counterparts makes me very upset. The fact that I'm in community with black men and they also do so much harm to black women who aim to protect our own communities makes me very upset. The fact that I can't call some black men allies makes me very upset. The fact that we killing each other, Baltimore homicide rate is at its highest, makes me very upset.
So is Charlotte's.
And so much of my rage isn't towards us, because I know in a lot of instances we just don't know better, you know, and we don't have people coming and investing in us. We don't have art. We don't have the resources that we need to invest in us, outcreate, and to nurture us. And so much of my rage is the systems, you know, and the people, white people, who fake like they fucking allies, but not really. You know, I went to this fucking conference the other day, and it pissed me off because they started off the conversation with, how can we, what did he say? How can we, what did he say? How can we work on cross generations while breaking generational cycles? And this space wasn't all black. I don't have these conversations with certain people in the first place because it's not my job to educate you. It's not my job to think for you or do the work for you. It's not my job to drop gems onto you. Nah. And so many of these people in here, so many of these white people in here talk about their profession. Fuck your profession. What are you doing outside of your profession to make the world a better place, to be an ally? You talking so much about you being a public defender and you referencing when they see us, but what are you doing at home? What are you doing in your own life that's outside of your profession? Because my advocacy work, my activism work is not only subjected to my profession, it's everyday life. I got to be the bigger person in a lot of instances because I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to incite violence on somebody else, even though niggas make you want to smack the shit out of them sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like so much of my rage is the systems and also the people who just continue to perpetuate those systems and remain oblivious or ignorance or just don't do shit about it, you know? And so, yeah, I feel rage all the time, and I try to channel my rage through my work, but it's not enough. I'm going through my Saturn return right now, so I'm pissed off at a lot of shit.
What does that mean?
So
I'm not into like it's okay. Astrology related.
Yeah.
Okay.
So your Saturn return is basically you have to. It starts to happen at 27, but it certainly starts at 28, and I think it ends maybe like 32 completely. And so your Saturn return is when basically the stars and all of the planets and all the conjunctions and squares, all of those things come back together when you turn 27. They're the same as it was when you were born. And so in a more tangible sense, that means that shit is about to pop off. All of the shit that you was ignoring, all of the trauma you wasn't trying to heal from, all of the issues and conflicts that you have inside is like, here, I'm here, what you gonna do? And so we have to grow up. We have to heal. And so much of me don't really want to. So much of me is attached to my own pain and my own trauma. And I feel like I feel like sometimes it validates the work that I do. It validates me. And that's not true. I want to know who I am without my pain, without my trauma. And so I'm going through my Saturn return. So I'm going through this very interesting moment where I have to be extremely mindful, but I also got to make better decisions for myself and on a personal level. This is not about work. It's not about activism. It's not about art. It's about Shan. And so during my Saturn return, I'm realizing I'm so mad at a lot of shit. And not necessarily shit that's happened in my life, but I see so much and I feel so much. I'm sensitive. And I want to see people live a better life. I want to see people feel better. You know, I want to see people get theirs and get what they deserve, but I'm not seeing that shit. And it seems like shit is only getting worse. And so, yeah, I got a lot of rage. I try to, when I play basketball, I try to get reparations on these white girls and shit, you know, just to get it out a little bit.
I love that you call hooping getting reparations, bro. That's
fucking
so
right. You think I ain't in there breaking ankles and jaying a couple of them? Shit, you crazy. And so yeah, that rage is a thing. But what helps is when we congregate, like today, it's helping. I don't publicly talk about a lot of stuff, especially my rage, especially anything that's outside of my work. And so to be able to talk about it feels great because I know you all probably share the same sentiment. We got a lot of shit to be upset about. And I care so much about us outside of me, you know. And again, I feel like when we free ourselves, we free others. But shit, I come from Baltimore. I've seen nothing but hard shit my entire life. And so much of it is ingrained in who I am. And I'm trying to shake it. But I also can't forget it because I know that Baltimore is just a very small example of what happens to us globally. I went to Detroit, man, and that shit fucked me up. A wall built in the 40s to separate black and white people, and we probably not tapped in to refute that, to fight that. You know, there were probably no protests or rallies around this wall. It was something that was accepted. That pisses me the fuck off. That makes me very upset. The fact that some developer could just come in a black community and build a fucking wall and separate people, like, that's not okay. You know, and so much of our own history, think about the infiltration of Black Panthers, the murder of Biggie and Tupac, all of that shit, COINTELPRO, all of that shit makes me mad, you know, all of it, on top of the shit that's happening now, you know. And so, yeah, I got a lot of rage, but I got a lot of sisters who we congregate and we talk and we sip tea and we try to heal together while healing ourselves. I got a lot of friends and people who care. You know, we're not alone with the rage. We all share it. And it's something that we can connect together about, you know. And so I try to do the small things like the artwork, talking about it, taking personal time to be with people that I love, try to come up with solutions. Also having small like meetings where we screaming and shit and we fucking shit up and we ripping paper and we just going crazy, you know, trying to get it out because we got to get it out. I don't want it to live inside me, but I also know what will help is solutions. So I'm trying to provide solutions, but I also want people around me, my peers, my comrades, to provide solutions too. And solutions that aren't biased, solutions that don't divide us, but solutions that essentially helps all of us. You know, like, we have to be allies, you know, like me as a cisgender queer black woman has to be an ally to a transgender black woman, you know, and that's not my identity, no, but I can be there for that person and I can show up for them and put my shit on the line to help them. And I expect that same thing too, you know? And so it's a way I'm hoping that we can provide solutions and that we can, you know, work on our own personal shit so we can align and work together. And our personal shit doesn't divide us or hold us back.
That's always interesting too. Like, just on the point of rage and then also like dealing with your personal things. Like, I tell the homies all the time, like, they're like, oh, have you seen this? I'm like, bro, I don't watch stuff that triggers me.
Listen,
I avoid it.
I don't need to know.
I haven't seen the Khalif Browder documentary.
Hell no.
I haven't seen When They See Us. I haven't seen any of that stuff because, like, for me, it's just triggering. And
I get it. And, you know, it's an interesting conversation because I love Ava's work. We got to protect Ava. We truly do. And again, and you know, I read on somebody on Twitter was like, black pain is like so profitable, blah, blah, blah. Man, fuck all of that. It's necessary for her to do this work. It's necessary for us to take it there. And it's not for everybody. It might not be for you right now, but it might be for your grandkids in 40 years. It might be for you in 10 years. It's just not for you right now. And so many people try to discredit this genre of work. And it's like, no, this shit is important. this Bradford Young is shooting this shit. This shit is also beautiful. This shit is also lit right. You know, like this is work that's being done by black people, and yes, it's about black pain, but so the fuck what? You know, like, so what? I'm not saying go and re-trigger yourself and get depressed and all that other shit, but there's a certain sort of respect that we need to have for the initiative of these people who come together to do this type of storytelling, because who else is going to do it? And if also we allow some white person to do it outside of, you know, through their gaze, we already know that what's going to happen. We've seen that plenty of times, y'all. And so a lot of me, I try to not listen to the noise. I try to stay away from certain types of ignorance. The videos and shit, I certainly don't watch because I just don't need to know, because it just upsets me and it just restarts the cycle, you know? And so I haven't seen, I think the last main one that I saw was, I think it was Khalif, and it of course it fucked me up. And I haven't seen When They See Us, but I plan to watch it because I know I need to. And again, she is only able to do this if we engage.
That's true.
And we want Ava.
Yeah.
We want work like this. And also when we have work like this, there needs to be people on the other side making the opposite work.
100%.
You get what I'm saying?
I was just about
It's about role playing.
Yeah. Because I follow this. There's a Black History account on IG, and they take like historic black photos and they give you like really long, detailed context in the caption. And they were talking about the first like black heavyweight champion. I think it was in like the 30s or 40s, and I was like, yo, that is a fire story. It would be a fire movie. You know what I mean? Like Creed is cool, but like, you know what I'm saying? But like, what? The first black heavyweight champion? And this is like almost when they was like, boxing was like a gladiator sport for real. Like you boxing outside in the sun in like in an arena.
Literally.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
With like leather strapped to your hands.
Right.
Like to see what somebody who, to your point, has that like artistic quality, has the ability to actually be a director and do those things could make out of that like source material would be insane.
And the opposite of that, does anyone follow Black Archives? Man, you follow them? You gotta see it. It's I know the woman who runs it in Chicago. It is one of the most beautiful pages I've ever seen in my life, and it's so not about the individual traumatic, painful stories. It's just about the archive, the visual archive, and of course the photographer and where it was taken and the small details that are important, the context. But so much of it is the opposite of When They See Us, and we need that balance
for sure.
We need the trauma and the pain because it's a part of our reality. We can't just act like the shit don't exist. It does exist. Why not have it? Why not share it? You know, and yes, it's going to piss you off and make you mad. I mean, but again, there are many things that are going to piss you off and make you mad, and we'll be even more pissed off if Ava and many other people didn't make work like that, you know. And there would be so much room for people who can't relate to make that work and make bullshit work, you know, about us. No, we need to be doing it.
For sure. On to, when you start hooping? Like, how long was it? Like, when you pick up a basketball?
I started hooping when I was in like elementary school. I was a DJ and a model and a basketball player in elementary school, and a poet and an actress. I swear.
Check the resume.
I swear, yo. I swear. Resume. I went to this. I was telling someone. I think I was talking to Jessica about it. There was this place in Baltimore called Exchange City, where like in elementary school. So what happens was they took us to. We had to pick these jobs that we would want to do. So I picked disc jockey. And so we went to this place, and it's just this building that has these, it's like a small town, and you just do the jobs. So like there was like a judge. Shatira was a judge. There was a mail postal service place. There were police officers. There was like cafeteria ladies. It was this thing that we did, and I was a DJ, and I like was spinning the music. I was reading the advertisements over the intercom.
But it sounds fine. We need this for adults.
Yo, facts.
Come test out a career right one time. It's an idea right there.
Getting fake paper money, but we went twice, and I did the disc jockey thing twice. I used to also sell bootleg CDs and shit. and make mix CDs and stuff. Like I had a karaoke machine that had like the cassette and the CD, and I would I was really out here trying to get it when I was young with the music stuff. And I watched a lot of what's her name? America's Next Top Model. Watched a lot of that, so I was like a model and stuff too in elementary school. But I certainly played ball. I started like playing for a team when I was in like middle school, and that was I played for the Baltimore Cougars, and then I played
was it like AAU or like just
AAU.
Oh, okay.
And basketball is such a large part of our culture in Baltimore. I mean, like the generations of basketball have certainly changed, but that culture is very much so still there and kind of manifesting and transitioning its own thing, because now you got like YouTube and all that other like cute
it's
stuff.
Wild.
Yeah,
the game has really changed off YouTube.
The game has changed so much, and of course the social media stuff has just made its way in and certainly has taken a couple people's egos by storm. But back in the day, it was more about the ball. Now it's kind of more about the politics and stuff like that. So I started when I was really young, and I played AAU mainly. I played in high school. I played in college. I went to Baltimore City Community College. We went 36-0. We was the #1 defensive team in the country. We won 2 championships. We was blowing people out by like 70. We were so good. All the schools were recruiting us, but so many of us had different situations, so we couldn't go everywhere together. And so 2 went to Cape Breton, which is in Canada, and then 2 of us went to Bowie. I got to Bowie, and I just didn't like it. The generation of basketball players had just changed, like and also becomes really political. And also it's a HBCU, so resources are very like small. So I had an issue. My coach was trying to give me the same scholarship as a freshman. I'm like, bruh, I'm averaging this and this and this. Why am I, I mean, we played Johnson C. Smith. I had 16 points, 16 boards, and you trying to give me the same scholarship as a freshman, someone who who can't even stick me, And so much of that, I was just like, yeah, I don't know about this. And again, these schools, it's like when you get up to collegiate level, it is just not about you. It's not about your skill.
Yeah.
These schools be having so much drama, athletic department drama, coach drama, just so much stuff, so many people in the ears, and so many people who got their pockets in the department. And so I played there for just a year, and I did pretty well. And I was just like, yeah, I'm going to take my grades more seriously. And so I took my grades more seriously and started getting scholarships, so I didn't have to pay to go to school. And I was like, all right, I'm going to play professionally. So I tried that, and I was just like, yeah, this is not really what I want to do. You have to dedicate so much time to basketball, and I'm just like, I just want to have a life outside of it, and I just want to do other things, Yeah. And so now thinking about it, I'm like, I miss it, but I mean, I got my respect. I got my street cred. People still come up to me and be like, yo, I remember you play you. I'm like, yeah, that matters. That matters.
For sure.
That really
For
matters
sure.
when a person remember you 10 years ago from playing their school and dropping 40 points, And so I got my cred. I got my trophies. I got my, my jerseys and all that other stuff. And I still got it,
What? that
left-handed
that
too.
Lefty J, he throw me off all the time.
I know.
What'd you learn from basketball that you took into art?
Playing your role. Yeah,
you said that earlier for sure.
Playing your role for sure. That's like that's life. That's life. That it's a team sport. Collaboration is key. Assist is key. Like pushing yourself and getting through it. I mean, anybody here play ball? On a team, you got to do those suicides.
And then if that one person missed a free throw, you got to take off. At the end of practice.
You want to fight them for real, but then you can't. Man,
that too, disciplinary infractions, everybody on the line,
and it's like you really gotta push fucking through each time, man. Like, and that's art. I gotta push through. So I mean, I'm not always the most confident. I don't always feel like the work that I'm doing is of value or good. I listen to noise sometimes. I try to block everything and stay focused, but so much of trying to push through, like basketball, like those suicides. You ever do the layup shit and somebody missed the layup and y'all guys start over? You guys do 100 layups and you get to like 87 and one person misses that layup and you like, yo, I might fuck you up in the locker room, yo. Like then y'all guys start over, and y'all wanted the scrimmage, but you can't scrimmage because you
gotta keep doing skill drills,
doing skill drills, like it's like Kobe camp, like, and I'm like, yo, we 12. we 12. You know, like, and so it was, basketball was just so much hard work, but it was, I love it. I loved it. You know, and so I feel that same way about art.
I feel that.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. And what's the last thing you want people to know, yo? Like, if you had like parting words.
I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna read something on my phone.
Bet.
Let's see. I read it in a. It was in a book, and it stuck with me. I hope it loads up. I don't know if I got service. You got some service in here?
What are we looking for?
I saw my Instagram page. Oh, hold on, it might work. You probably got better service than me. I got Sprint. It's affordable, but
everybody shaking their head, bro.
Golly.
Hey, yo, Sprint, man, do better unless you're going to sponsor the podcast,
crazy.
bro. If you sponsor the podcast, we, you know what I'm saying, we get right.
Sprint is crazy. Oh, yeah. What you got?
Verizon. Why she roll her eyes? What, you know what I'm saying?
It's low and so quick, y'all.
You got to pay for what
That's
you,
crazy.
you know what I'm saying? You pay.
Facts. You pay for,
what,
yeah.
You get what you pay for.
Facts.
You get what you pay for. But shout out to Sprint, though. Sponsor the podcast.
Okay. I think I read this in Bell Hooks' book. Our survivals are not separate, even though the terms under which we struggle differ. So I just want to let people know, like, I'll read it again.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll read it again. Our survivals are not separate, even though the terms under which we struggle differ. So much of us we so connected, y'all. We family. We family, man. Like, I feel connected and close to every black person that walks this earth. You might be a piece of shit, and I still feel connected to you. I still value you. And so I think I just can't explain enough how important it is to fight for your freedom and free yourself, because when you free yourself, you free others, you know, and to show up for people regardless of whatever, regardless of how much you struggle or if you struggled at all. You know, we're connected, we're family. And I just want to encourage people to seek out that family and do the work that you got to do to be able to seek out that family and hold them tight and work together to fight the larger fight and to free all of us, because we got to be free someday.
For sure. Phase 1, Trial 6, Here and Doing Things. Shan Wallace.
Thanks for coming.